Good morning, Stampers. Welcome to another Friday Live. I am just updating my iPad here so I can make sure that I can see you. Be sure to say hi as you join in so I know who's watching. If you're watching the replay, you can say hi as well. It's always nice to know who is watching and where you're watching from. Okay, we are going to jump in and get started. So last week, I created this cute little ornament using our shaker domes. Good morning, Mary Liz. Good morning, Barb. Good morning, Kristen. So I created this. If you missed last week's Facebook Live, you can find it on my YouTube channel. You can find it on my blog, or you can find it below on Facebook. All right, and the way I start every week, good morning, Amy, is I draw for a winner of last week's project. Now, just to qualify, if I create anything that is 3D or a scrapbook page, something that's a little bit more difficult to mail, good morning, Karen, then I always have an alternate project. So if it's somebody local, then they will win the actual ornament. If it's somebody who I need to pop the project in the mail for, they will win a card that I created using that same stamp set. So that's this stamp set here. Good morning, Christine. So I've got everybody's name. The way that you can get entered is by commenting. For each comment, question you ask, thing that you share, whether it's on the live or the replay or in YouTube, you get 1 entry. If you share the video, you get 5 entries. All right? Okay. Yeah, I'm looking forward to meeting you too, Amy. Make sure you come find me because I have something for you. You won one of the 3D projects a few weeks ago, and I have it set aside to bring with me. Okay, the lucky winner this week is Kathy Lovell. So I will set that aside for her. She is local. I should see her actually at Onstage. I'm gonna have a bag full of stuff to bring to Onstage. Okay, so let's set that aside. Okay, before we get into crafting, I want to share a few things with you today. Since it's November 1st, we've got a few new things going on. First of all, and the thing that I'm most excited about is the new trimmer is now available to customers. I love this trimmer. It is very lightweight. It has an arm that goes out and it extends out to 17 inches, which is really nice. So if you're doing diagonal folds and stuff like that, sometimes it's nice to have that extension. And sometimes we're cutting paper that's a little bit bigger as well. And what I love most is that seam. Like, I don't know how well you guys are gonna be able to see this. It's a little blurry, but there is so very little of a gap in between the measurements. Like, I think it's 1/8 of an inch, if even that. That transition between the arm and the actual base of the cutter is fabulous. The other thing is the blades are so much longer and they are sharpened by a machine, whereas the other ones, I believe they were hand sharpened, so that's why they were so inconsistent. This cuts like butter. I've been using it since I got it at the beginning of October. I have yet, like, there's no shredding of the paper or anything, and I use it a lot. The other thing that I love about it is the extension on this side. So when you're doing little cuts, it makes it easier to hold. It's really, really great. The other thing is the scoring blade. Let me lift it up. I can't remember. I know I've talked a little bit about this in a previous live, but I don't know how much detail I went into. The scoring blade, can you see that? It's like, it's metal, so it's not plastic. So it glides over the cardstock really nicely, and I think it's gonna last a lot longer as well. Amy says she cased that card for an upcoming class, and she used Petal Pink instead of Very Vanilla. Nice. I always love to hear that people case me. I think it's quite flattering. Okay, so that paper trimmer is available, and a great thing about that, another great thing about that paper cutter is the price point. It's $34, which is fabulous. That's a great deal. Okay, so that is available to order. And then also, Stampin' Up! Has released a new suite. It's called the Christmas Time Is Here suite. It's a beautiful florally suite of products. Now for some people, Mary Liz says, I love that there's room at the top for both the clear and the paper. For both to clear the paper. I'm not sure what. Oh, so both blades can sit at the top. Is that what you mean, Mary Liz? At one time, and one's not in the way? So this Christmas Time Is Here. If you love florals, you are gonna love this suite. Now, it is called Christmas Time Is Here, and it is florally. When I flip the camera down, I'll show you a few bits and pieces of it. But it doesn't have to be for Christmas. Okay, I'm going to share a Christmas project with you today using it, but the project can be replicated exactly as is, just change out the greeting, and it could be a birthday, it could be thinking of you, it could be thank you, it could be pretty much anything, because there's nothing on it apart from the greeting that says it's Christmassy. Okay, and another thing is this suite, actually, you know what, I'm gonna flip the camera around so that I can just show you what I have of the product. It's a little bit easier than holding it up, and plus I think you'll get a better view of it if I flip the camera around. So just bear with me for just a second. Flip you guys around. Okay, now I just need to wait for my thing to catch up here so that I can see what you guys are seeing, because I always hate it when the screen is crooked. Okay, let's see. Let's move this over. We're gonna move this over too. We are really far over to the right here. Okay, all right, so the suite here, you can purchase the entire thing using one product number, and it's $154. But let's break it down here, because it can be purchased. You can pick and choose the items that you want to purchase from it. You don't have to purchase the entire suite, which I love. So of course there is a bundle option, and you save 10% by purchasing the bundle. And this bundle includes 2 stamp sets and the coordinating framelits. And one of the stamp sets is photopolymer, and the other one is cling mount. Okay. And here's what the stamp set looks like. You can see it's beautiful. Like, it's so pretty. I am not a florally person. I love flowers. I think they're beautiful. But for me, I know that flowers are not stamp sets that I pull out and use very often. Okay, and then there is this beautiful DSP, and it is specialty DSP. So let me show you that DSP. You get 4 sheets of each of these patterns, and it has gold foil in it. So you can see here that these flowers are the gold foil. And then there's this one, which has gold foil on it. And then this one is my favorite. It's so pretty. So the outline around the roses are gold foil, and then the dots are gold foil as well. And there's a framelit that will cut out this particular image right here. Okay, and then the back side, these are just kind of a little bit more plain. But this one's really pretty as well. Okay, so you get 4 of each of those 3 patterns. And then there is this gorgeous gold ribbon. It is a 1/4 inch gold shimmer ribbon. I love it. It's a nice width. It ties really nicely, and it's got that gold shimmer. So just remember that we have the gold plaid DSP that is in the holiday catalog. This would match that. There is the medley that's in the holiday catalog that has gold in it. That would match that as well. And then we've got these gold glitter enamel dots, which, I mean, glitter enamel dots, you can't go wrong with enamel dots. And when they're sparkly, that makes it even better, right? And then the last thing that is part of the suite is this charming rose bracelet. So, and you might be wondering why Stampin' Up! Is selling a bracelet, but what they've done is they've thought ahead to the holiday season and gift giving. So not everybody that you know might be crafty, right? They may not want to craft, but this is something that you can still pick up and you could give that as a gift. And it's a great gift for somebody who has everything. So it is a gold bracelet, but it is not gold. It's gold in color, I should say, okay? And it's really quite pretty. Okay, all right. Let's go ahead and get started. Actually, I'm gonna share a couple things that I've made using this suite so far. So I did a layout actually I've done a couple layouts. One of them I shared on my blog on Monday, so you can check that out at stamptreasures.com. Here is another one. This is a wine tag. So this is from that beautiful patterned paper. And then I stamped the greeting. Because I didn't purchase the stamp set in Framelits, but I borrowed my mom's. Good morning, Brett. It's been a while since you've watched live. So I used a couple different patterned papers. I've got the patterned paper in the back, the Mossy Meadow one, and then this beautiful image that was cut with the Framelits. And that would be a great wine tag, or if you do Evolutions, that I think that's what it's called, the olive oil place. If you're giving flavored olive oil, you could pop that over top. Water bottle, whatever it is that you give as a gift that comes kind of in a bottle format, bubble bath maybe, I'm not sure. But anything that slides over is a cute little way to dress it up a little bit. Yeah, I heard you went back to school. That's fabulous. Good for you. I hope it's going well. And then the other thing is I created this card here, and this is one of the cards that we're going to be creating at my monthly stamp class, which is on November 14th. So we're creating that card as well as these 3 other ones. The other 3 are using the star bundle from the holiday catalog, and then I threw this one in. It's just, I love the gold accents and the patterned papers, and then those gold dots. So pretty. So, and then you throw it in with the ornate frames, and super great. Okay, all right. Brett asked, will you be sharing the dimensions of the wine tag? This actually, you know what? A lady, I did at my retreat last weekend, and a lady who was there, she had this great tag, wine tag. So I don't know if you can see. Can you see the stitching around it? So it cut out this whole shape, including the circle. I can share, you know what? I bet I could figure it out with circle dies as well. We can figure out the width. We can figure out the score line. We can do a different, the closest size circle. And then I'm sure we can figure out how to cut it rounded up here. Let me play around with it and see if I can come up with a Stampin' Up! Solution. I borrowed hers and cut out several of these because I just thought it was quick and easy, but I'm sure we can come up with a Stampin' Up! Version of this for sure. So thank you for bringing that up. I will, I'll see what I can come up with. All right. Okay. So now today we are going to do a simple fun fold card. And it's one that I've seen, it's been around for quite a while, but I have actually, I don't think I've ever created this fun fold. And it's amazing how simple it is. So here, of course I had to dress up the envelope. So there's the envelope. And then this is the card here. So you can see that we're using the ornate frames because I love them. And I think that when they're cut out of foil, they look so pretty. I mean, they look pretty even when they're cut out of cardstock, and then you just open it up and there you go. So simple. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. All right, so let's see here. First up, we're gonna work on the base. So we need 2 pieces because this is a standard size card. So we need 2 pieces. I'm using Mossy Meadow cardstock and they both measure 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. All right, so those are gonna be our base. And then we are going to use a piece of patterned paper, and I've chosen this patterned paper. And this is cut to 4 by 5 1/4. And I'm just going to stick that right in the center of one of these pieces. I'm just gonna use a bit of Tombow. So Brett, how many classes are you taking? Because you only have a few left to finish your degree. Is that right? Am I remembering that right? Okay, so we've got that stuck on there. And then this piece measures, oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank now. I need my ruler. I know it's 11 inches, 3 inches by 11 inches. And we're gonna pull in the paper cutter and we are going to score it in 2 places. So I'm gonna extend the arm because I need to use that. And I'm using the scoring blade, not the cutting blade. So I'm gonna score it at 2 inches. Oh, you're a full-time student. Oh my gosh. And a full-time mom and a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. It's crazy. Yeah, you are busy. Okay, so I'm scoring it at 2 inches. And then I'm scoring it at 6.5 inches. Okay, and remember this is a 3 inch by 11 inch piece. Oh, you're thinking about working towards being a principal? Awesome. Okay, that's what my daughter's boyfriend, that is his intention. He's in business right now. My little folder here. He's in business right now at Grant MacEwan, and he's gonna go for his education degree afterwards, and with the hopes of teaching for a few years and then hopefully becoming a principal. Okay, so then we're gonna fold it like that. So I folded the 2 inch score line, I folded it so it's like a mountain fold, and then the 6.5 inch score line is like a valley fold. Okay, all right, so now we're going to attach this, and I found the easiest way to attach this is, actually, you know what? We are gonna do some stamping before we attach it. I always like to try to do my stamping before I stick anything together, because then I can always flip it over if it doesn't work. All right, so we are going to stamp our greeting on the inside, and I am using this stamp set. So this is a host set. It's a set that you can earn for free. It's still my favorite set in the holiday catalog. This is one that I think I will be keeping in my collection even after it retires, just because the greetings are so great for Christmas. And I love that there's outside of the card greetings and inside of the card greetings. Okay, so today I'm using this, May the Yuletide season be filled with joy, and then here is to the new year bringing happy beginnings. So that's the one that I'm gonna stamp on the inside, and I'm going to emboss with gold. So whenever I emboss, I like to use my embossing buddy first. So this is just a bag that's kind of filled with this powdery substance. And that just removes any oils or static or anything that is on the cardstock. And it helps prevent, it doesn't eliminate, but it helps prevent the embossing powder from sticking where you don't want it to stick, because you only want it to stick where your ink is. And then I'm going to ink it up with a Versamark pad. Look how clean that Versamark pad is. I love a new ink pad. Okay, and I'm gonna stamp it right in the center. I hope that I did not move that. We're gonna use that again in a minute. And then I've got my gold embossing powder in here. Just dump it on generously and then tap off the excess. I like to give it a flick, and that usually gets rid of most of the excess powder, but sometimes you'll have a little spot that sticks. Okay, so now I'm gonna heat this up. And I'm back to this heat tool. I think last week I used the other one, and the cord isn't quite long enough. So I'm gonna heat this up. Can you guys see this? At my retreat, I don't know how well you can see it. I didn't realize, like, I knew that this was broken because it had been dropped and it broke a while ago, but this little nozzle was off kilter. It was kind of like that, and I had been using it, And then look at this. I could have started this whole thing on fire. Like, it's all melted around the edges. It's crazy. So I'm glad I caught that, because it didn't even smell or anything. Okay, so I'm gonna turn it on and heat it up. And you'll see, you guys see that, how it changes, goes from powdery to metallic. Nice and fast. Okay, yeah, that looks pretty good. Okay, while we have all this stuff out, we'll do our outside greeting as well. So I've just got a scrap of white cardstock, and then I've got my outside greeting. Ink it up with Versamark. Mary Liz asks, if you are embossing over a color stamp, do you use the embossing buddy twice? How long does the verse stamp have to dry? No, you wouldn't have to do it twice. Like, are you saying, like, if you wanted to do, like, let's say I wanted to stamp this in red, but I want it to have an embossed look, so I stamp it in red the first time, and then ink it up with Versamark, stamp it with Versamark the second time, and then pour clear embossing powder over top? Is that what you mean? Or if you're stamping an image with one ink color here, and then you're doing another image and maybe it'll overlap, and then you're embossing that second image, is that what you mean? If it's the second, then it wouldn't hurt to go over the embossing buddy. Or you want to make sure that that first image that you've stamped is fully dry before you stamp it again. Does that make sense? I don't know if I'm answering your question. Stamp, image, the emboss, outline in gold. Okay, so if there's an inside image and then, okay, so let's say this is a two-step stamp, and you've stamped your inside image, and now you want to stamp the outline image in gold. Okay, I think that's what you're asking. Then I would actually just use my heat tool. So I'd stamp the solid image first, use my heat tool, and just zap it really quickly to make sure that ink is fully dry. And then I would stamp the outline image over top. Okay. So that's how I would do it. You could probably give it a rub with the embossing buddy. My concern with that is it might dull the color just a little bit. So if you've got a nice vibrant cherry cobbler flower and then you brush it over with that powder, like, it might just take some of that crispness of the image out or away. So I would probably just zap it with my heat tool and just make sure it's really dry before I stamp over top. Good question. Okay, so now I'm going to sprinkle it with the gold again. And I did not use the embossing buddy. Did I use the embossing buddy on this? I don't think I did. Look at all the little flecks around here. See, I was talking too much. Okay, let's redo it. I'll do both. I'll emboss both pieces, and that way you can kind of see the difference. Okay, so it looks like I've got a little strip of something there. So let's just see if I can get it off with this. Okay, so I'm going to bring in my heat tool. Okay, so now have a look at the difference here. Can you see the little flecks I mean, if I would have taken the time to actually remove those, it's not that bad. I probably could have done that and it would have looked better. But this one, you don't have as much of that. Okay, so that's the reason for the embossing buddy. And I find it's really, really noticeable on like darker colored cardstock. So if you're embossing like on a Mossy Meadow or a navy or cherry cobbler or black, like on a dark cardstock, I do find that it's a lot more noticeable. Okay, so I'm bringing in my Big Shot and my Ornate Frames dies. So this is the one that I used in my sample, and I want the inside image. Oh, this one layers perfectly on it. So I'm gonna cut my greeting out using that. And because it does have a straight side, I don't want to feed it in at a 90-degree angle. I want there to be just a little bit of an angle when it goes in. Stand up, make sure that's straight here. Okay, so see how this isn't perfectly parallel, I guess it would be, to my Big Shot. It's going in so that one of the corners is kind of going in first. You don't have these yet, Amy? Yes, you do need them. They are some of my most used dies. I love these dies. And you know they've got to carry over. Like there's no way they're not going to carry over. Watch, I say that and they won't carry over. They're just so versatile. They've got to carry over. Okay, so now I've got that. I've gone ahead and pre-cut the ornate part of the frame. So I'm just going to layer those two. My Tombow is almost gone. So Brett, are you coming to Edmonton to go to On Stage? If you're still here? Yes, those dies are from the holiday catalog, Kristen. They're in the Halloween section. So it comes as a bundle with the Halloween set, but I didn't purchase the Halloween stamp set. I just purchased the frames because I thought they were so beautiful. Okay, so now let's bring our pieces back. Okay, so now we're going to, yay, that's gonna be awesome. It'll be good to see you. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is we want to attach this piece to the center of this green piece, Mossy Meadow piece. So I'm just adding a bit of adhesive. And I do like using Tombow because it's a bit more forgiving. You can kind of wiggle it to make sure it's straight. So I've got that on there. See how it's gonna open like that. And now this little 2-inch flap, I'm just gonna put adhesive on here. And this is easier going this way. So I'm lining it up with the edge of, because you want both green pieces, both Mossy Meadow pieces to line up perfectly. So I'm lining it up with the edge of the Mossy Meadow and then just placing it down. And then again, because I use Tombow or that liquid glue, it allows me to move it just a little bit if I need to. There we go. Okay, so we've got that, the base of our card done. Now, I found this to be just a bit busy, especially with that size. So I cut a piece of vellum. I love doing this and layering it so that you have just a little bit of border around the edge. So this piece of vellum measures 3 3/4 by 5. And what I'm gonna do before I stick the vellum down, because vellum is it's one of those things where you kind of have to think about what you're gonna do with the vellum and how you're going to adhere it, because you can see through it. You can usually see the adhesive. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm going to dress this up the way I want it, and then I can see what is on the vellum, and I can see where I can put my adhesive so that you can't see it. Okay, does that make sense? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use a couple dimensionals on the back of this. And stick this in the lower right corner. About like that. And then I wanted to add some of these beautiful glitter, gold glitter enamel dots. So I used a variety of sizes here. So I'm gonna take a big one, put it here. And then I love that there's so many different sizes. Okay, let's do this one. And then a little one. So I'm gonna do a cluster of 3, but then I'm gonna add 2 more up here. And I always like to do these kinds of things. It's weird, I don't know, but in odd numbers. Like I couldn't just leave it with 4. I don't know, for me, it has to be an odd number. So then I'm gonna take another little one and add it up here. Okay, so now that is decorated how I want it. So now I'm gonna strategically add my adhesive. I'm just grabbing some mini glue dots here. Okay, so if I flip it over, I'm gonna put a mini glue dot underneath both of those larger glitter dots. So that's gonna provide a little bit of extra adhesive, and you won't be able to see it. And then I'll put a little bit of Tombow in behind here. And then bring this in. This will get put in the center. So we've got that nice even border around the edges. And then I'll just apply a little bit of pressure. And there we go. The card itself is, oh no, it's not. We have to decorate the inside. So what I did was I took a piece of the DSP, and these images, they're just so pretty. So I've gone ahead and I've fussy cut some of these. And actually what I did last night while I was watching TV, this is the card that we're creating at my card class on the 14th. And I went ahead and I fussy cut a whole sheet of this patterned paper. Kristen, thanks to you. I fussy cut them all for my customers, so they wouldn't have to fussy cut them, because they are a bit finicky in areas. So I went ahead and fussy cut a whole sheet. So I'm just gonna use a couple dimensionals, and that is gonna go in the center panel here. Just like that, isn't that pretty? So pretty. And then I've got another one, just a single rose. Brett says they say that that's the best way to decorate, and it is in odd numbers. I agree. I think it's just more pleasing to the eye if it's odd numbers, right? So I think it is, yeah, I agree with you. It is a design principle as well. Yes, I'm pretty sure that they will, Kristen. Okay, so I've added another little flower there. And then of course you need a pretty envelope to go with it. So I've got a scrap of the same patterned paper, and I'm just gonna add some Tombow to the envelope flap. Oops. And then let's pick that up so it's not sticky. And then I'm just gonna take this, line it up with the straight edge of the envelope. And then open it up, and then I'll just trim around it. And then we've got a nice pretty envelope that coordinates with it. So this card, like I said at the beginning, this card, if you changed out that greeting and you made it birthday or thinking of you or thank you, this card does not look Christmassy at all. This patterned paper, well, this particular patterned paper in this pack, you could use any time of the year. The other one, the one with the big, beautiful florally images, I'll pull it back in a minute here. That one to me feels a bit more Christmassy, and I think it's because it's got the pine cones on it. I think you could get away, if you didn't have a Christmas photo, I think you could get away with using it and not making a Christmas themed project or photo. If you're making a card, it doesn't have to be a scrapbook page. I was thinking of a scrapbook page. So this pattern here, to me, it looks a bit more Christmassy, and I think because it has the pine cones and then the berries and the are those pine branches? So for me, this feels a little bit more Christmassy. I have my daughter's grad photo. I thought it would be perfect because she's holding some roses and they're like a cherry cobbler color, and I thought it would be perfect for it. And so I had cut one of these with the dies on the weekend and I put it with her photo, and I just could not do it because to me, this just feels more Christmassy. But yes, like Mary Liz says, a wintertime birthday would be perfect. I think you could definitely get away with this for a wintertime birthday. But this particular pattern, there is nothing in this pattern that says it's Christmassy apart from red and green. And you know what? Red flowers all have greenery, right? So you can use it any time of the year and make this a thank you card, birthday card, thinking of you. You could probably even do it as a sympathy card as well, especially with the vellum muting it a little bit. So it really can be used any time of the year. All right, so thank you so much for watching. I will be live again next Friday, and I will try to figure out between now and then, I will try to figure out how we can do this wine tag base using Stampin' Up! Product. And who knows, maybe I'll do a separate live between now and then and share it if I can figure out a simple way to do it. All right, so thanks so much for watching. Have a fabulous weekend. I'm actually going to be crafting for most of the weekend because I'm taking my boys to the airport. They're heading to Seattle for the weekend. And Jordan is working all weekend, so I'm gonna craft all weekend. I've got a couple girlfriends coming over on Sunday, and yeah, I'll be doing lots of crafting in my studio, catching up and scheduling things, that type of thing. So I hope you guys have fun stuff planned as well. All right, thanks so much for watching. Take care. Bye, guys.